I'm Abigail, and my colleague Alka will be joining me. We both work for IBM, and today we are going to be presenting to you about scenario-based information architecture, and which is a recipe for consistent customer experience. Right. So I'll just give you an overview of what we are about to talk about. So we'll be seeing what are scenarios and how we can develop scenarios, and then how we use scenarios to create models, and that is information architecture models, and how we can implement the architecture regardless of our role and responsibilities in the organization to deliver a consistent customer experience. And along the way, we have several demos of this process that will help you understand along with examples. So there's a disclaimer at the outset. This scenario-based information architecture is a study in itself. So in this short span of the presentation, we are hoping that we can, if you are not already doing this or using this methodology, we hope we can whet your appetite and get you interested in the subject, and that we've presented sufficient to do that. So we'll proceed with the presentation and probably take questions if we have time at the end or offline. So let's get started. So have you ever faced a situation where you just don't know, you've received an assignment documentation or development assignment, and you just don't know where to start? Most of us have probably experienced that and felt overwhelmed, either because there's too much information, too much content, or too many products, too many requirements that we have to meet and we don't know where to start, or just the opposite, we have nothing to go on, or too little information is given to us to get started. So in situations like that, the best place to start is by thinking of what the customer wants. And what does the customer want? Well, these are four key aspects that would make a customer happy. If our information is findable, that is, and then it is consumable, that is easy to use, and if it is easy to understand and appropriate to his needs, and finally cohesive, well integrated and tied together meaningfully. So that would, if we apply these aspects to anything that is produced, it can give consistent customer experience. And we can see that in the example of McDonald's. If you walk into any of the 35,000 McDonald's or more McDonald's outlets in around the world, you can expect a certain level of experience. That's because they follow a model at each of their outlets when they set it up. That model defines the training they give their staff on how to interact with the customers, the hygiene and quality standards, their branding and signage, and also their menu items and the recipes that they use. So similarly, if we apply the same thing to our information, we can provide the customer with a consistent information experience. So that is what information architecture is all about. It's the practice of organizing, structuring, and classifying information systems such that the information is easy to use, easy to find, and easy to understand. Now, if we take each one of these aspects, let's see how we achieve that. Well, findable or easy to find information will usually be organized and structured, and the navigation would be in proper place. They are like signposts or the maps that we use to locate something. So when a user browses or searches, he's able to find what he wants. And also the underlying classification schemes and the metadatas would be correct, so he can find and retrieve what he wants. And information that is consumable or easy to use is what provides a solution easily to the customer. So it's based on a deep understanding of the user's tasks that they have on hand, Yeah, it's simple and minimalistic, just what he needs. So it's the same thing here with appropriate information is something that's easy to understand for that particular target audience, and only what he needs, what the audience needs at that time, and it's where they need it and when they need it. And it helps them achieve their goals. And finally, we come to the cohesive and seamless aspect of information. So this is basically when we talk about information experience, it should be integrated in that we provide different types of information. It may be online help, embedded assistance in the UI or in Wizards. There may be social media related information that we give on social media, then the videos and tutorials, Java docs. It could be any of those different bits of information produced by different teams also. But when the customer sees it, they see it as one integrated piece, consistent whole information experience that's integrated and interconnected well. So, so we've seen what are the different aspects of information architecture. And what if you are not an information architect? Is this information still useful for you? So let's see in this audience, how many of you all actually have a designation or a role of an information architect? Yeah, one. So that's it. Like, you know, in most organizations, in large organizations, they have that role and designation and maybe many information architects. But in our own scope of, within our own scope of documentation, whatever level we may be in that organization, these principles you will see, you can apply them to your day-to-day work, even if you're producing a technical note or one topic or a set of topics with a map. So that's what we would like to show you. So here we come to the scenario-based information architecture process. So long we discussed about how information architecture, good information architecture helps us. But scenario-based information architecture takes us one step further. Why? Because this is a process, it's a three-stage process. We develop scenarios, then we create models from the scenarios. So scenarios are like the detailed blueprint, and the models are like that, a preview of the end result, something like those little buildings and set we see at the builder's site office when we go to purchase a house. And then we implement that architecture, which is the actual construction of our information. So if we go into that first stage of developing scenarios, what are scenarios? So they are basically stories with people performing certain tasks to achieve certain goals in a particular context or environment. And each of these components are well developed in a scenario. For example, we don't just say who are the users or who are the people or personas, but also their roles, their skill levels, a description of them. And then the second component, tasks, that is the interaction that the user has with the system or the product, and the hierarchy and workflow of those tasks. So this includes both tasks at the high level and the detailed tasks and their priorities. And some of them may be not actually related to the work you're doing. The task that, to achieve a certain goal, the user may have to do tasks outside that environment as well. So those are also recorded in the scenario. And then we have the next component, goals, which are basically the business problems that the user has to address. And when we are documenting goals, we take into consideration again the bigger picture, because our product may play just a partial role or a smaller role in an entire solution. So that the way our product fits into that, we should be aware of that. And then the context and environment, that could be the hardware or software platforms on which he's going to use the product, the prerequisites, access to certain resources that he may need or he has or doesn't have, like does he have a continuous connection to the internet, does he work offline, and the circumstances in which he is going to use the product. So these are the components in a scenario. And how do we use this in information architecture? Use scenarios in information architecture. So here, let us just look at it for a minute from at certain things that we must not mistake scenarios with, because all these components we frequently hear used along with maybe when we discuss when we create use cases, or if you're working in an agile environment, as user stories have these components also. So what is different about scenarios? It's different in that it's broader. It contains a lot more information than just those. So scenarios may include use cases which are more function and product oriented, and user stories which have all these components but don't have sufficient information to go on. So scenarios are more comprehensive. And we also have something like we may develop these white papers that have solutions and very detailed technical examples. Now those are also like a story, a scenario is in that. But that is something we give the customer to read. Whereas scenarios in the context of information architecture, they are mostly used internally to just guide and influence the design. And very rarely would the customer or the user see that scenario that we've written out. So that's the key difference. So coming back to reiterate why we use scenarios in information architecture, these are the benefits actually. They have a twofold benefit that all of us want in our documentation and in our work, is to bring value to the customer by improving the usability of the product and information, and also improving efficiency on our part, the way we work. That's value to our company. So that is provided by scenario-based information architecture, because we focus on the customer and the user as the starting point for the design. And then it helps us decide the design methods based on how the customer will use that product. And value to the company, because we eliminate what the customer doesn't need, and our work related to it, we save time and resources, and also reduce customer support calls, which is very expensive. Now here, continuing on why use scenarios, for a minute let's see what would happen if we got into information architecture without using scenarios. Then if we go back to that situation at the introduction, we don't know where to start. The person doesn't know where to start. So normally when we don't know where to start, what do? We start looking at the product and the functions and try to start from there. And then we end up documenting, usually UI panel, or if our product has a GUI, graphical user interface, then we do panel to topic. For each panel we create a topic or something like that. So it goes according to the flow of that product, not according to the flow of the task that the user wants to do. So when the user actually starts doing it and he searches in the documentation, he may have to go from task to task to task, or topic to topic to topic rather, and then finally achieve his goal. Whereas so that is function-based or product-based documentation. Versus scenario-based architecture is when we analyze the entire workflow and we give the all the things that the user needs to complete that, achieve his goal in a single place, in a single topic or a set of topics. And another benefit of scenario-based architecture is, because we've collected so much information, we also know what the user may want to know more about it. We don't push that onto him in the task flow itself, but we can give them as supported concepts and references, which he may want to refer if he needs information. So that's the main reason why we use scenarios in information architecture. And to look at a few of the different types of scenarios that we will be explaining with examples later on. This is just an overview. Business scenarios, they tell the entire customer's business story, and all their goals and how they relate to the product. And so that's usually at a product, feature or component level. And as information developers or technical writers, what we get out of them are more conceptual things like the overviews, introductions, white papers, marketing material and stuff like that. Then tasks scenarios are what we would use the most in our day-to-day work, because they tell the hands-on user story, how the user interacts with the product to perform the task. So that gives us the topic level information, the task topics, concepts, related reference, the embedded UI, user assistance, and maybe context sensitive help, and also the hierarchy or the maps that we use if we are using data, the data map, things like that. And finally we have the integration scenario, which is the end-to-end story, and that shows how multiple products may fit together to provide a solution. That's at an enterprise level. So that would the output would be something like a multi-product solution level information, that like a roadmap that connects and shows different products, how they fit in together. So these are the different types of scenarios that we come across. Now the process of developing scenarios is here on this slide, and we have a lot of demos also to go along with it. So I'll invite Alka to take over and show you these.
Thanks, Abigail. So now we've seen the theory or the concept behind scenarios and scenario-based information architecture. Let's see and let's start looking at how do you develop scenarios. So developing scenarios is like a three-stage process. You understand the concept, the scope of what you're trying to achieve, then you document the scenario, and then you finally validate it. These steps have certain sub-steps, and we'll look at it one by one. We have a simple example that we'll be demoing to show how you can create a narrative scenario and then finally go to modeling and then implementing architecture. So in order to understand the scope of the project that you're working on, it's best to consult other functional areas. You may not be the only one who would know everything. You know, there are product architects, dev managers who are already involved, who have interactions with customers, and they have a lot to offer to you. So the first step that you would want to do in order to create or develop your scenario is consult them. So you have this team with you, and you will consult them one by one. What is it that they have to offer? So you have your product manager. He is typically someone who would tell you about the customer, their importance to your organization, the priorities based on what features are you providing. The engineering lead is someone who will give you detailed information about design documents, how do they plan to support which operating systems, what's going out. You have the product architect who will give you a high-level overview of how are you going to plan to develop the features that the customer requires, how do you meet expectations. You have the UI developer expert. He is the one who has created use case scenarios for his panels, so that's what he can give you and help you with task flows. You also have the testing team personnel who would write test cases, error paths. They may not be ready right at the beginning, but yes, you can tell them that you would want them once you are ready. So this is all the information that you would get from these stakeholders that you have. Once you have all of this, you would want to collate all the data that you have and come up with what we will show with the demo with the help of an example. So the example we are looking at is a customer who is a fast food restaurant owner, and he wants to have technological enhancements to the software that he already has of yours. Okay, so let's look at it. Okay, so first you would want to then collate your data. Who's the customer? So yes, as I told you, a fast food owner looking for technological enhancements. Okay, what are the business challenges that he is facing? So you would want to list all of this down. You would want to know, okay, so in our example, he is saying the customers are put off, they need to wait in a queue for their payments, for getting their orders. Then to cope with that rush, he has to have more point of sales personnel, staff, more cost. They find it difficult to give more combo offers, so they have to stick to standard menu. And the managers, the executives really don't have access to how is it all faring on a day-to-day basis because it's not accessible on their mobile devices. So these challenges will help you come to your goals. So what is the first goal? Reduce the wait time for customers and provide a better service. Then you would want to go to the next goal, which was to reduce the staff and thereby have a profitable business, give innovative combo deals to your customers, and finally see that the status is available on mobile devices, because that was the challenge he stated. So what are the solutions offered? That's the next thing you may want to document. What is the value of your product to the customer? How are you going to address these challenges? So we are saying that we are proposing a touchscreen online self-ordering system where the customers can themselves place an order and also do the payment. A feature that will automatically give recommended deals to the store manager who would then use it for the customers, and a reporting system which is available on mobile. So the managers and the executives can get what they want. What is the value of the product to our company? Now this customer that we are writing the scenario for is from where we need to understand what are their goals, what are the marketing strategies, how are you going to position the product, and all our stakeholders we talked about are going to help us with this information. So this customer who operates on the fast food customer that we will have many other such customers who would have similar requirements. That's where we can position our product. And the business analytics that our company is good in will be able to showcase this for other and pitch our product. So for developing scenarios, once you get all the data, you need to collate all of this. Yes, all of this, some of this may seem irrelevant to you at this stage. Why are we getting into these details? But they will help you get answers to why are we doing something, why is a particular topic being created in the first place. Therefore, it is important that you have all of this data with you. Finally, now you have all of this information, you may still have certain questions that you come up with. You remember those elements that we had for a scenario: user, goal, tasks, and context. So if anything is still missing, you may want to fill the gaps. So you may want to ask, considering our scenario, who is going to benefit from the system? Who is the user? What's the role? Are there multiple user roles who are going to perform the same tasks? What is the skill set? What if the system goes offline? Does our user know when should he modify the combo deals, or is it just okay, whatever is already there? So once you have all of this data, you are ready to document your scenario. So what you would need to do first is you define your users. Now here in this example, we are only sticking to one particular task scenario where we are focusing on our store manager who is interested in giving combo deals. So that's the feature we've picked up for a demo. Okay. So let's define the users. So what's the role? What are his responsibilities? So he wants to ensure that there is a profitable business, and there are other, of which the one that we want to focus on is he wants to offer combo deals to his customers. What are his skills? Okay, he's a computer literate. Mainly he's from that same profession. So he knows what he wants to give to the customers. What is the environment? Okay, he will have continuous internet connectivity. That's important, right? Because that's something which will be a decision point for you as to how do you want to deliver your information to him. If he has continuous internet connectivity, you know, probably PDFs may not be required. Similarly, he wants to offer innovative combo deals, but he wants that from the system. What are the challenges? So what if the system goes offline? Okay, so which means you may want to give him some offline help as well. These are some of the questions and challenges that you may want to get answers to. Once you have all of this information with you, you are ready to develop your narrative. A scenario narrative is nothing but a simple story that you can write in a text file. Okay, you take a particular, because we are focusing on a task scenario, you take that task or the goal that you're focusing on and you would write it down in a story format. So that's what we've tried to do here. And all the small things that we just noticed are what we are going to capture in our scenario. Okay, once you have the task scenario narrative with you, you would go ahead and add delivery details like use and access. Which users need to know what? are there multiple tasks which many users will perform, or is it only specific to a user? So these are these questions and answers to these are what will help you understand whether it's a topic that goes to your user's guide or to your admin guide. Things like that. So a use case diagram is something which will directly give you what you want, a task flow. How will they access information is another thing that you may want to consider here. So once you have documented your scenario based on the information that you collected, it's time to go back and get that validated from the same set of stakeholders. So you may want to get it reviewed by the product experts. You may want to go back to them, show it to them whether you've captured everything. Make sure you expose all your assumptions and get clarity, because that's key. That's what is going to be the basis of your architecture. So get it reviewed, get it refined, and get it tested. It's best if you could get it tested by your real customers or users. Okay, now that you have your scenario with you, and it's time to create models. What is a model? So a model is an abstract and simplified representation of large complex information sets. Okay, it can be, the benefit of a model is it can be used and reused for multiple purposes. It is not like a template or a data type in which you fit in your content or you want to do that. It's more like a recipe which will help you get consistent results. Along with that, gives you flexibility to make certain changes to achieve what your customer wants. Like a simple example is what Abigail said about the McDonald's restaurants, right? It gives a consistent customer experience. At the same time, if in India you will get those paneer wraps, which probably you wouldn't get in China, you would get something in the Szechuan style, you know, things like that. So the model is something which can be implemented based on what your customer needs are. So it helps you to apply your concepts systematically, discover patterns, identify variables, and finally achieve predictable results. There are various types of information architecture models. You have use model, content, access, and information model. We'll not get into details of these. What we are going to focus on here is we want to create a topic-based output. So we're going to create a data map for which is based on the use model. A use model is something which uses your scenario-based information to end up creating a topic structure or a TOC, and in our case we are going to look for a data map. Okay. So we've seen scenarios, we have got our scenarios, now we will create models from scenarios. So what you first need to do is you need to have get your scenario or create your scenario, then you analyze it, you identify, you go through your narrative and you identify task, concept, reference, what falls into which category. You define your TOC, you define any other relation. So there is a TOC in which you'll have a parent-child relationship, a sibling relationship automatically, a hierarchical format. You may have other relationships that you would want to give. So that's what you will identify. You finalize your model and finally integrate it with other models. So you would create multiple scenarios and therefore multiple models which you would want to integrate for your final information architecture of your product. So what we're going to do is we're going to demo creation of models from scenarios using IBM Information Architecture Workbench. Okay, it's a free available tool. We've got a link here. And what we are going to use is the same example we talked about in a couple of slides before, where the story of a store manager who wants to generate profitable combo deals for his customers. So let's take a look. So this is the first step where you acquire or create a scenario. As I'd shown you, we have already created that narrator scenario in a notepad, right? So we're going to use that. So this lets you create a scenario. You need a project which will basically store all your files. Yeah.
Come in the front, they can probably see the items on the screen better. But people sitting over there, there's so many chairs.
So you give your file name, you move ahead, you give certain properties that are required. Okay, this is key. So we are saying we want to analyze the scenario, which is based on certain objects based on the model that you want to create out of it. So IWB has certain predefined objects depending on what kind of modeling you want to do. Because we want to create a data map, we are going to choose the data model, okay? And we want to create a simple TOC, we want to identify our concept, task and references, so that's the nodes that we selected there. What you get is an empty scenario which has 3 sections. These are blank sections. You may want to just get rid of them because you already have a scenario which you're going to include into this. So you import your scenario from the text file. Now what it does is it takes your scenario narrative from the notepad file and it will add it into this tool and segregate it based on the paragraphs that you've divided it into. So you will see all the scenario narrative falling into different sections here. Now these sections are nothing but a linear set, that's been created for simplification of analysis. They're linear, they have numbered, so it's easy for you to just go one by one and analyze it further. So next step is to identify tasks and supportive concepts and references. So what you will do is, you'll go through the scenario paragraph by line, and you will try to identify phrases which give you more information for our scenario, the elements that we spoke about. And you will identify each of them and classify them as concept, task or reference, because those are the objects that we selected. Now I will not be able to show you, but you can see on the right hand side there is that object manager panel which is kind of outlining what you are actually creating. So this is only what you're doing is classifying the narrative that you have and identifying probable concept, references and tasks from it. So you would do this section by section and you would do it for the entire scenario. Okay? We're not going to do it for the entire scenario. We have it ready. Okay. So this way you analyze the entire scenario and classify the phrases. Now we've done this activity so that we don't have to spend so much time overall, and this is how you would get a classified scenario. You will see there are different colors used which are nothing but color coding based on the object nodes that were selected, like a concept, task and reference would have different color coding. Okay? You can go ahead and edit this, change it, modify it. Okay, now that your analyzed scenario is ready, as we saw, the next stage is to create models. By creating models, you are actually creating a TOC, you're creating your topic structure. So let's go to that. So now we'll use the task modeling component of IWB, which helps you create models. So as we had decided a data map, that's what we choose. You have different types of data maps that you can create, book maps and Eclipse plugin that are available. Because we'll create a simple map, we'll choose simple data map. A blank model is created. If you're not using scenario analyzer, which I just showed you to analyze phrases, you can simply use this to add blocks, nodes and link them and create your model. Okay? Because it's available here, what we will do is we'll import our scenario, the classified scenario, into this task modeler and create automatically a model. So this is interesting because the first time we are importing a model from a scenario, you will select all the objects that you had classified. However, the beauty of this tool is that you will be able to use it throughout the life cycle of your project. So you may have changes that will come which you can incorporate later. So you have your model ready. You may want to now define relationships, reorganize it, which you can do by moving the nodes around. And finalize the model. So your model is ready. This model is nothing but which will form the basis of your topic structure. And you see it's a data map that gets created. We're just viewing it in the task modeler so it appears in a model form. Here, because we're focusing on a single scenario, we won't have the task or the step of integrating models. We're just focusing on one scenario and one model. You can further update this data map by adding placeholder files, again available through the same tool. Whatever I'm showing through the tool is not necessary only through the tool. You can do it manually as well. Okay? So these are the different topics that we've already created, generated through the tool, and you can just, it's ready to write. You can just pick it up and start writing. So we can show you how this model, the same data map file, will appear in your authoring tool. And you can start updating topics. Okay? So as I said, I mean, this was something we used IWB to analyze scenario as well as to create models. It's something you can do manually as well. If you look at this, I've just taken a snippet from the narrative scenario that we had, and so this is your acquire scenario, step 1. Now, you have to identify tasks and supporting concept and references. You will see we've color-coded it. So this is something you can do with pen and paper also. You identify what falls into which category, then you create a TOC out of it. Once you have your TOC, you may want to see if there are further references, reference links that you want to have for different topics. You may do that, and you have your model ready. This is something you can do manually as well. And you finalize your model. And it's ready to be written. So what we've seen is we've created scenarios, we've analyzed them, created models out of this. Now all of this now needs to be actually implemented so that you create your information deliverables. So you implement this architecture. Implementing architecture is something similar to, you know, bridging the gap, where the information architect or someone performing that role is one who has created this scenario-based eye for you, and now as a writer, you are responsible for fitting your stuff into it. So if you're a writer, you must ensure that this model is well applied before you start writing your content. The architects can convey the information that they have captured, the scenarios, explain it to the writer so that even they have the answers that they require to come up with their topics. So where examples need to be provided, how detailed should it be, because you've analyzed it, you know what are the challenges that the user has, how the content will be delivered, how will the users find the content. All of this information sharing must happen so that the writers and the eye are in sync. So that is the completion of scenario-based information architecture, where you have your scenarios, your narrative scenarios, you identify tasks and topics, and you create your models and finally implement the architecture. If you are already doing this, or you will plan to get into this, then there are certain tips and suggestions that we collated for you, and I won't go through it in detail, you can read it, but I thought I'll highlight certain key ones out of this. So it's important, as I said, that you need that information for your scenario building. So it's important that you formalize this process, that you're going to use scenario-based information architecture, and you get a buy-in from all the stakeholders so that they are equally involved in helping you create this. Look for existing scenarios. As Abigail said, if you all are following Agile, there will be user stories out there. They are good starting points. You must make the most of it. Use them, group related scenarios, and see if they fit into the overall picture. Seek continuous feedback so that there are no assumptions that you make while you proceed and you have all your answers. Focus not only on the tasks but also on the environment and context. That is critical, and that's what separates scenario from the other types that we saw. It helps you create models and gives you the context. You know the goal of the user. You're just not focusing on a particular panel or a task that you want to do. Consciously do not design based on functions, but look at the business perspective. Make sure when you write, you know the why of that task. You know why you're doing it. Okay. So in conclusion, all I would like, we would like to say is that yes, we used a very simple, a small example to show how scenario-based information architecture can be applied. However, it's like a recipe and definitely can be applicable to your entire information experience, information system by which you can give your customers a good information experience. So if you go to the McDonald's example where it gives you a consistent customer experience, we would like to give an example of one of IBM's output, which is the IBM Knowledge Center, which use scenario-based information architecture to give consistent information experience for over 2,200 IBM products, where if you go to the Knowledge Center, we've given a link here, please do go, you will see that the experience is same across all products. You have a consistent content structure and a presentation and delivery. And that's what you would want to give at the end, is the right content to the right people at the right time and right place. So thank you. Any questions?
We may take just one question.
Is this tool an open source?
It is freely available.
Okay.
You can download it. The only thing is the scenario analyzer, the one that we used for analyzing scenarios, is not available in this version, the free version that's there right now. But modeling is. So you can definitely create models. You may want to have your own analyze scenario ready.
All right, thank you very much. Can you believe that somebody can do 55 slides in 40 minutes?
I hope we were not too fast.
You are amazing with a 7 minutes video in there. So give them a big round of applause.
Okay, we would really like to thank all our IBM colleagues who have developed and refined this methodology. Also have a lot of training materials available that helped us come up with this for you. Thank you.